So I wanted to talk a little bit about the King Ranch. This is kind of the gold standard for farm estate planning. You've probably heard of the King Ranch. They have their own breed of cattle. They had Kentucky Derby winning horses. They're licensed to the Ford Motor Company for the special edition truck. Um, but what makes them so great is how they kind of changed the philosophy of estate planning. Back in the day, you would create a will and you would say, all right, when I die, I want my farm to be divided between my kids. And so this can only happen so many times before one big plot of land turns into 100 smaller plots of land, and the farm just can't stay viable that way. It's a pretty known thing that land that stays together stays stronger. And they're an example of this, but how did they do it? So they are kind of the pioneer. They created a corporation, which this wouldn't be the structure we would use today, but they created a corporation that kept the land together and made it very hard to sell. And instead of dividing that land, they gave shares to each of the heirs. And then slowly that is passed down and down, and so each heir gets a share of the corporation and they don't get a portion of the land. What this does is it allows you to keep the land together, to grow it, develop it. You can get the best talent in ranch management. You can bring in a ranch manager. We actually went down there a few months ago and met with the ranch manager. They have a guy who's not even in the family. He went to school to do this, and now he's running the King Ranch. And they kind of own basically the whole town of Kingsville and the university that's there. So that's what a lot of times you see now is estate planners will put your ranch or your farm into an LLC. That way, if that's what you want the farm to stay in the family and viable, then they'll put it in that, and you can divide the shares, and there's different things you can do to make it even for your on-farm and off-farm kids. But this doesn't even have to be a big scale like that. In fact, if you would go into small town Howard County, Arkansas, we did a plan for a family that did this with their land at a much smaller scale. It's a very small cattle farm. But the way we set it up, that land is still in the family today. None of the kids even live on the farm. They lease out the property, and they even have a little house there that they use for Airbnb income. But on the holidays or special occasions, the whole family comes back and spends time at this farmhouse, and it still means something to them, and it's still in the family. So that is kind of a philosophy of how a lot of estate planners plan for farm families.